He is a data scientist, a Google developer,
Go ahead.
expert, and software innovator. He is a TEDx speaker and also the Kolkata lead of Facebook Developer Circle. He excels in machine learning and is also the Google developer expert and Intel software innovator, teaching at BIMS Kolkata. So I would like sir to take the screen and please introduce yourself.
Welcome, Sabyasachi. Welcome to the panel. Are you there?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your generous introduction. So basically, I want to congratulate IEM Kolkata ECL and obviously the IIC Council along with Professor Abhijit Basu for his excellent effort and forming such a dynamic student team who are doing extremely well in terms of creating impact.
Actually, again, Sabyasachi, the team matters. This team is
exactly. That is what I am telling. That the team you have formed, they are doing excellent in the eastern region of India in terms of creating impact on the ecosystem. So let me share the screen. I have a few things to discuss with the students. Hopefully they will be benefited while they're forming their own startup ideas or demonstrating their own innovations. Let me know once the screen becomes visible to you.
It's visible.
Okay, excellent. So let me go to slide share. So whenever we go to invent something or innovate something, because there is certain subtle difference between the innovation and invention. So basically invention, which was not existing earlier, you have discovered something in terms of the technology and scientific aspects. But innovation is about to modify something which was existing earlier. So that was the subtle difference between innovation and invention we require to understand, because often in our student life, even in our professional life, we sometimes have some misconception regarding the invention and innovations. So basically, whenever we are talking about the innovation, if X is existing, what next? That type of tendency a perfect innovator should have. So like I told you, now if you look at this particular structure, this is about the idea hexagon. Okay, so what happens whenever any problems occurs in our society? We have certain tendencies, right? Chalta hai, chalta rahega, aisa to hota hi rehta hai. Most of us neglects, and few of us complains, but there are very few number of the solvers. In actually, if you look at in the scenario, that actually there are very, very few number of the solvers, because of some kind of the lack of confidence, or maybe their kind of lack of positive intents sometimes, which actually do not motivate us to solve the complicated problems or to come up with some innovative ideas. So basically, how we can think, because whenever you want to launch some new products, or you want to go for some new innovative stuffs, so how should we form our mindset up? Because everybody, I strongly believe that everybody has their own innovation mindset up. Okay, and every person is special. Okay, so nothing, you should not have some inferior complex within your mind that you can't excel in your career, because you all have those potentials in your mind. What you have to do, actually, you have to train your mind in such a way that you can actually achieve those goals. So building those mindset up is very, very important, and that's why proper ecosystem is also important. And in IEM, you all get that kind of the ecosystem thanks to the awesome team formed by Professor Abhijit Basu sir. So basically, now what I am trying to give you in this talk is trying to give you some idea that what should be your thought process in terms of the idea hexagon, and what problem you should solve. That will be the second phase of the presentation. So basically, for example, if you see X, if we consider X as the flicker through which we basically share photos, so what should be next? So from photo, if we add another dimension, that becomes video. So we share videos in YouTube, right? So if you look at the procedure of if we go to the higher order dimensions through X, what is next? data, text, audio, images, video. Then, for example, we use the stereo glasses, okay, to watch the 3D movies. But actually, our real life scenario is 4-dimension. So what about the 4-dimension screening? So in this way, if you think about it, you can always push yourself to go to some higher dimensions. That if something existing, what can I come up with certain modifying those things, and how we can come up with some new things. So this is the first thing, that to go to the higher dimension, x to the power d. Next is about x plus y, is about fusion. So the more dissimilar will be the material, the more impact will be the outcome. So if you see nowadays, if you come to the side of the Howrah, for example, like I stay in Sipur, or even in some region of the Kolkata also, we have seen some narrower lanes, right? So in most of the cases, if somebody gets highly sick and all, due to some narrow lanes, if you call the ambulances, they are not being able to penetrate those narrow lanes. So what if you think about that type of solutions, that for example, if you take the engine part of the auto and if you attach the backside of the ambulance, then what will happen? You can easily penetrate those narrower lanes to take the patients to the hospitals. So those are the ways actually you can brainstorm yourself, and these are few examples that how you can do the fusion of the dissimilar kind of the materials. Like the example I mentioned, that front engine part of the auto, you are attaching the front engine part of the auto with the back side of the ambulance, basically patient carrier side of the ambulance. If you can attach them, these three-wheelers can move into the narrower lanes of those regions. For example, I have mentioned the lanes of if you observe in the Howrah regions. So you have to understand your local ecosystem, what are the need of the problems, and how you can actually provide them the appropriate solutions. Okay. Given a hammer, find all the nails. If you look at the third, and if you look at the fourth point, given a nail, find all the hammers. So these are basically reciprocal to each other. Forward operation, backward operation. So what does it actually imply? So I believe all of you are from the engineering background. So those, as you are from the engineering background, you guys are quite aware, whether you are from EC or computer science background or electrical engineering background, that Fourier transform, right? So for example, I want to share one simple thing, that you are dealing with some crop detection problems with your smartphone camera. Okay, now what happens, that whenever you are capturing the certain crops information, due to the interference of the stray light, because you are dealing with the live data, right? Due to interference of the stray light, what is happening, some noise is coming up in your data. And what happens that often it misleads you towards the proper classification of the result. So basically what happens, whenever you are taking your smartphone camera and you are shining light and you are basically capturing the information, so you are doing it in the spatial domain, right? In the spatial domain, whenever you are doing your spatial domain, from the knowledge of your convolution theorem, you know that in spatial domain, original signal is contaminated with the unwanted signal, which we call noise, in a convoluted format. So what you have to do, you have to go to Fourier domain. That means frequency domain. Okay? And then what happens when you go to frequency domain from the spatial domain? So signal and noise from the convoluted format, it becomes in a multiplicative format, right? So that's what I was mentioning just a second. Given a hammer, find all the nails. So you have the restrictions in your spatial domain. You can't solve the problem in spatial domain. So you are applying Fourier transform, and going to frequency domain, and you are finding all the possible solutions. And you can do the vice versa also. You may face certain problems in frequency domain which you can't solve. You have to do the inverse Fourier transform and come back to spatial domain to solve that problem. So that is all about that. Given a hammer, find all the nails, and given a nail, find all the hammers. That this is vice versa approach. Sometimes you may go to forward operation, you may have to come to the backward operations just to fix them out. that what can be the possible solutions you can face. Now, beyond technology, now another thing is that whenever you have to see that what type of the solution, it may not be always that it is existing in the technology domain. For example, it may happen that whatever you are thinking about, that may excel in some other domain, like in management. Like I want to give you one example that you guys may be aware that the data science, whenever the data science field evolved, it was highly popularized because of earlier due to the contributions of the statisticians. Then it comes to the contributions from the theoretical computer scientists, and gradually the field evolved. But nowadays you can see the extensive applications of the this data science and machine learning in management domain, right from the stock market predictions to credit card fraud and everything. And there are specialized courses have been launched. For example, BBA MBA program has been launched in business analytics domain. So you can see that data science, which has been started from the hybridization of the science technological background, now it is being highly excel in management domain. So it's not only about that you have to think about your own domain, you have to try out the analogous applications in some other domain. Because whenever some concept evolve, you may see that some saturation, so what we call this certain convergent in certain aspect. But if you go to the parallel domain in some other domain, that may give you some other opportunities. So this is always happen because nowadays there is nothing pure. It is always about the techno management approach. There is nothing pure technology or nothing pure management. Rather, it's a techno management approach because we are living in a data driven world. Earlier it was more about the qualitative approach, but nowadays it's more about the data driven approach. So, and then the next thing is that if, for example, if you think about the adding adjectives, like I was telling you that whenever the field of innovations is all about how you can excel in the how you can excel with the existing procedures by modifying it. So, for example, Fourier transform. If you are adding fast adjective to it by modifying it, we call it fast Fourier transform. Filtering. Whenever we are modifying its performances, sometimes we call it adaptive filtering. Okay. So in this way, we always add some, for example, computing, distributed computing, add some superlative adjective to a certain methodology, and we basically explore out the innovations on a new direction. So these are the ways, actually, if you think about it. First of all, adding dimensions to your innovation. Second one is the hybridizing the clusters, adding the different domains together. The more the dissimilar will be, the better will be the fusion. Like I have given the example of the restrictions of our ambulance movements in the narrower lanes. Next one, I told you that given hammer, explore out all the nails, or in the opposite way, given and explore out all the hammers. And the next thing is that adding adjectives at the fifth point. And the idea hexagon, the last point is do exactly opposite. That means out of box thinking. That whenever nothing is happening in your way, that you are bound in a all way, you have to come up with an out of box thinking, which people has not thought about on that direction at all. So that is called the out of box thinking. So you have to try out all those areas. I can assure you, if you think in this manner, it will give you the optimum way of approaching innovative thoughts. In this way, it's about the worlds who are the highest thinkers in the world, right from the MIT, Stanford, Harvard to any other top organizations. If you go, they think alike. So this is all about the thought process building of if given X, what is next. Now, once your thought process has been nurtured, you are completely prepared from your mind setup. Then we have to see that what problem should we solve? What problem should we? That is very, very important. Why it is important? Let me tell you one thing. That across the globe, there are more than 80% people under the bottom of pyramid category. And India, it is more than 96%. So these 96% people do not have enough money to pay tax. Can you understand the practical scenario? Now, if somebody is suffering from cancer, somebody is suffering from diabetes retinopathy, how miserable will be their life to bear those expensive treatments? So whatever may be our professions, we may be technologists, we may be engineers, we may be professors, scientists, whatever may be our professions, with our limited capacity, if we can contribute in their life to improvement of their life, that would be good enough. If we all try honestly, we can actually create impact on those bottom of pyramid section, which is very, very important. So, for example, how should we approach on certain impactful problems? So that's the thing I want to highlight you up. Once you are done your mind setup with the idea Excelon, then the next setup comes up that what type of problem I should solve. Is our brain mapping towards the problem is happening in a proper way or not? So, for example, if we pick up a theme like digital tech in agriculture or digital tech in healthcare, then how we can explore out step by step, or what can be the possible way of, or what can be the elegant way of solving those problems. So first of all, resource map, problem canvas, solution canvas, finding plots. Okay, so under the resource map, we will discuss about the people organizations, user beneficiaries, breakthroughs and risks. So if we go by the, for example, organizations, okay, so organizations means companies, startups, government department. Okay, so like in, if you consider about the healthcare, so in the healthcare data set becomes a very, very problematic thing. If you, for example, we go, sometimes it is good if we go to download the data set from Kaggle. If you go to download the data set from the GitHub, you explore out your basic coding part on that, it's fine. But what about whenever you are developing the product, you have to tie up with hospitals. And when your alpha testing phase and beta testing phase of the product will be approved by the medical board. So you have to tie up with hospital, you have to work on the real world data set. So you have to convince doctor that whatever that methodologies you are using or technologies you are using, that is completely non-invasive to human body. So that is not an easy task. To convince doctor in this domain is not very easy task. So there is always some restrictions, are always some hurdles getting the adequate data set. Then you have to make the partners. You can make partners, you can make hospitals as your partner, you can make doctors as your partner. People, obviously the influentials who are the high, influentials also comes under the high, who are the highly, for example, it can be oncologist, it can be some other experts in the medical domain. And obviously, for example, the startups, once you get the fund, seed fund from your organization, you started, basically in Indian currency, it is 25 lakh to 50 lakhs range. Then after prototype building, if you get this success, you can approach the VCs, venture capitalists, angel investors, who funds in your 3 to 5 crore funding, you can get from them. And there are obviously known published challenges are there. For example, Bill Gates Foundation, National Science Foundation USA, NIH problem setups are also there if you go to their websites. Obviously, DBT, Department of Biotechnology and Department of Science and Technology in India, they also publish some open challenges, which if you can address those problems, if you can provide some solutions, you can get the probable supports from governments, which in the forms of the government funds or grants. So now we are coming towards the users and beneficiaries. So once you have seen that what are the opportunities or what are the problem statement you may address, then it comes about the what are the user beneficiaries, that how your solution can create impact. Who will be the possible user beneficiaries? Who will be the buyers? Those things are very, very important. Speaking to why do you require to you have to point out the requirement of the research areas. Obviously, interaction with experts, those things becomes very, very important. So if we consider about the healthcare sector, if we're coming up with certain solutions, so who will be the possible users? So basically patients, hospitals, so they can be the possible users, right? Your partners can be hospitals, some nursing homes, some other medical clinics can become your partners. Sometimes whoever is funding for your project, so some government organizations can become the partner. So there are areas, okay, we have to need to understand that who are the users, what are the possible use cases, what is the market size. This will give you the idea about the market size. Then breakthroughs, benefits and risk factors. Obviously, like the breakthroughs, whenever you are getting success, it is fine. Now parallel take approaches nowadays happening. What happens if you go back to 5 years back? We have actually from 2010 onwards, our thought process started exploring through the exploration of the cloud. But extensive use has been started in last 5 years. And nowadays we can see that there are limitations are coming up in cloud. What is happening due to continuously sending data to cloud, storing them, doing analytics? What is happening due to congestions? You are not being able to get the real-time result. There are some latencies are coming up. So nowadays a lot of projects are being deployed through some intermediate computing approach like fog computing, edge computing, especially the on-premises computing approach like edge computing, how you can actually use the computational power of lightweight devices like smartphone, where you can do the trivial computational capabilities and you can produce the result. So parallel tech approach is always there. Then you have to check the frictions. So frictions means there are regulation biases. So it may happen that you may come up with certain elegant ideas, but due to government rules, regulations, you are not being able to launch them in a large scale. That is often happened. A lot of guys in India have a lot of excellent ideas of utilizing drones, but due to certain government rule regulations, not being able to deploy in a large scale, or they have been completely prohibited of using that. So those things you have to take care of your mind that government regulations are actually you should not violate those regulations because country-wise, region-wise, those regulation varies. So whatever innovations you are thinking, you have to check that there should not be any hindrance in terms of the regulations. And obviously, financial risk factor is always there. That within a prescribed time, you may face that during the middle of your project, you are actually lacking on the financial support. So that's also becomes sometimes problem, creates problem. Execution risk, limiting factors are there. Sometimes execution risk means it may happen that due to some software glitches, you are not being able to get whatever you want to get, or it may happen that in spite of forming a good team, somehow you are lacking in proper expedition within your team, and you are not getting the exact connection, whom to reach out externally, whom you can onboard to make execution of certain solutions. So these are the possible factors you see whenever you are coming up with certain innovations, certain innovative, you want to launch some technological products. I am talking about in technological angle. So what happens, you may face certain risk factors. And these are the risks associated with it. It may be in terms of regulation, financial risk, execution risk are always there. So why I always tell that whenever you are forming a team, even if you are doing a college project or you are going for planning to launch companies, so that should be on the basis of the skill matrix matching. So that if you guys find this term new, please take a note of it. Because remember that in world's any top organization, right from the Google, Facebook, Walmart, or whether you are talking about the institutes like MIT, Harvard, Stanford, they all work on the basis of the skill matrix matching basis. For example, if somebody in your team is very strong in machine learning, somebody in your strong is very, very strong in terms of the Android app development, it may happen that somebody in your team very strong in terms of the marketing. So these three people has three different skill setup. So as I told you that whenever you have the differential skill setup, the fusion, whenever they comes together, it becomes very, very stronger. Because in your team, you have the diversified skill setup. It may remember that one guy may have the multiple skill setup. One guy may know data science and IoT both very well. But there should be one dominant skill setup. Because whenever, if you go even for the job as well, people always look for the expedition, because nowadays nobody is Aristotle. Okay, the field has been expanded so much. Okay, so everybody looks for the expedition first. You may have multiple skill, but your dominant skill, there should be some dominant skill. It can be data science, it can be IoT, it can be Android, or it can be in some other domain, blockchain, etc., etc. So when you look at their dominant skill, if you have the diversified skill setup within your team, so the team becomes the unstoppable. It may happen that you may not be able to give the 100% solutions, but the progress you make, that will be unparalleled to anyone else. So that's why I always say, whenever it's youngsters going for the startup or going for the new venture, or during my mentoring session, that at least form the team in such a way that you should have a diversified skill setup within your team. That actually helps, because initial level it actually saves your money also, because outsourcing will enhance your expenses. So that's why this type of stuffs are quite important. Skill matrix matching is very, very important stuff. So if you look at the problem canvas, for example, this problem canvas has been designed digital tech in agriculture, keeping the digital tech in agriculture in mind. So techniques, definitely sensor, you acquire data from the sensor. AI will give you the classification, prediction stuffs. Crowdsourcing is a good way of data collection. But what are the problems? If you see, the greenhouses, crop prediction, farmer finances, weather stations, these are the problem areas. Now, if you map the same problem in healthcare domain, if you brainstorm yourself, what will be the possible problems? Techniques will remain same, sensors, AI, crowdsourcing is fine. But what will be those problems areas? If you brainstorm on them, you will come to see that the problem areas, what can be the problem areas? For example, the expenses, cost. For example, if somebody is suffering from cancer, if you go for the biopsy, first of all, what are the shortcomings, problems? First of all, it is the expenses, treatment expenses. Then second one is basically your biopsy takes 2 weeks time to come up with the report. Okay. Third point will be the poor accuracy level of biopsies. Even though being a gold standard, industry standard, the accuracy level is 65%. So these are the shortcomings, right? Poor accuracy, treatment, higher treatment cost, and the time span to come up with the report. Okay, so in keeping the problem canvas in your mind, as I am telling you, because once your philosophy becomes very, very clear to in front of you, then only you can focus on the solution part. Because the technological innovation, or you can call it scientific evolution, whatever you may give the name, it starts with philosophy. So philosophy, second phase it's science, third phase it is technology, fourth phase it is production, with where you are coming up with the products, and fifth phase is marketing. So there are 5 phases, and that's why I was telling this is at the end of the day, it is a techno management approach. Philosophy, science, technology, production, and marketing. These are the 5 phases you have to cover up one by one. So during your philosophy stage, you have to be very, very clear from your inside that what you want to do actually. If you are confused in any way, you are lost. So that's the reason I am telling that my proper brain, my proper mindset of building is very, very important. Right from the beginning, you have to be very, very clear about what you want to do, bottom of your heart. So in the next phase, if you go solution canvas, now you can actually point out those things. So cost, time, and impact. For example, you have been given time. Whenever you are getting some grant or you are getting some seed funding, you have been always given some time frame, right? It can be of 1 year to 3 years, whatever may be your time span. Maybe you have been given some budget. You have to maintain some budget according to that time frame, and you have to showcase that what kind of the development you are making, what kind of the impact you are creating. On the basis of that, next phase of the grant will come up. You have to, at the end of that, you have to report your funding agency. And if you see the scenarios like all those greenhouses, sensors, greenhouses AI, or greenhouses crowdsourcing, these are the basically have been kept on the basis of keeping digital tech in agriculture domain in mind. If you map the same problem in the domain like healthcare, what will happen? Brainstorm by yourself. You think that the problem I discussed with you, that with the exploring the difficulties in the cancer predictions. So if you map the same problem, what are the solutions will be? So if you, for example, if you come up with a smartphone-based early stage cancer diagnostic solutions through AI, artificial intelligence, then what will be the possible benefits? If you think about it, it can give you result, generate the report within few minutes, where biopsy takes 2 weeks of time, right? Then what will be the next solution canvas? It is a data-driven approach where you will get the accuracy level quite higher than the earlier case, 90 to 95% in some cases. And definitely it is lesser expensive, because you are replacing the hardware expenses, hardware cost with the smartphone camera. So that's the way you have to think, that how you can cover up this problem canvas to solution canvas. What are the impactful solution you are providing? Because you see that software technologies has a immense power. You have to understand that there is nothing. I am not interpreting anything regarding software versus hardware. Try to understand what I am saying. That if you look at the theme launched by MIT in 2013, it was softwares are the new hardwares. In 2017, Infosys adapted that theme, same theme, just converted the plural to singular by saying software is the new hardware. What does it actually imply? For example, earlier days, you must have to carry wallet with you. Whenever you are making the payment through the physical cash, you are making payments, right? But what is happening nowadays through the smartphone app, Paytm, PhonePe, you are actually transferring the digital cash. You are not dealing with the physical cash. So just through a payment gateway platform, you are transferring the money. For example, in earlier, not even nowadays also, in few areas you can see there are optical fiber probe to capture the infected lesion information while testing the oral cancer, skin cancer. People are using optical fiber probe. But what happens if you use the smartphone camera? So what will happen then? The cost of optical fiber probe will be saved through your smartphone camera. So the more you can replace the hardware part while the prototype building or product development through the software-based approach, to the soft skill approach, the more your production cost will be reduced. That's the philosophy. Try to understand. That's why I am telling the philosophy is very, very important. When some great people are saying that, like MIT or even the Infosys, there should be certain reasons, right? And that's the reason the team has come up with, like, that softwares are the new hardwares. And that should reflect whenever you are mapping the problem canvas to solution canvas, that in technology domain, whenever you are coming up with certain products, certain solutions, that type of impact I am coming up. So it will help you to not only to reduce your cost, but to come up with a solution with much an elegant way. Because whenever you are approaching through the software, you have a lot of open source supports, because we are living in a open source era. Thanks to the Linux foundations from early 90s stage, if you see, it was all about the open source era. And one of their major contribution of the Linux Foundation is R language. Nowadays, you guys use for the data analysis purpose. And obviously, if you go to other extent, Python languages is also there, and the Pythonic frameworks, TensorFlow, PyTorch, Keras, whatever you're using, everything is a blessings of the open source era. So every time developers are contributing it, developing it. So gradually, your software resources have become the rich. So take the blessings of IT. That's what I want to tell you. So now, once your philosophy becomes clear, now if you see the finding plot section, that given projection, given cost, within time framework, how you are being able to control them to complete the project within given time, or providing the solution with a given time. So that's why finding plot becomes very, very important. That actually highlights you that given right from the beginning, resource map, problem canvas, solution canvas, how you are actually jotting them down in terms of the finding plots. So these are the milestones actually you have to achieve. So please take a snap of this particular slide, Helmer's question. So remember that the way we worship Einstein in case of science, the Helmer is being worshipped in terms of the technological innovation. So all of you know about LCD, right? Liquid crystal display. So he's actually the inventor of LCD, Helmer. He has the most number of the patents across the globe, and has been considered as the god for the innovators or inventors, whatever maybe name you can give, because both of the tags is applicable for him. So 9 questions he has highlighted for the young innovators or the inventors even. Whenever you are coming up with certain solutions, do you understand the problem correctly? If you can answer these 9 questions, you can actually answer them in a proper way. Then you can actually claim that, well, I have understood the problem properly. Like, for example, what are you trying to do? Articulate objectives without using any jargon. Without using any jargon, Can you mention what you want to do? If you do, you are actually clear from your heart, clear from your mind that okay, there is no doubt. Whenever you are using jargon, that means somewhere there is some picture is not clear for you. Next, how is it done today and what are the limitations of the current practice? That is very, very important. That you want to come up with some solutions, but how it is done today? And if it is being done today, then what are the limitations? Is there any limitations at all? Is there any scope of improvement at all? Because whenever you come up with certain solutions, you have to protect your own right? If in India, you know that if there is no hardware attachment, you will not get the patent. There is no software patent in India. If you have the software-based approach, you have to file copyright. If you have new design, you have to go for trademark. For example, you have made a new design for your pen, which was not existing earlier. You can go for filing trademark. So anyway, either it is trademark, either it is copyright, or either it is patent, you have to secure your rights. Otherwise, anybody else can copy it. Then how will you sustain? What will be the evaluation of your creativity? So that's the reason it is required, because until or unless you understand the second point, you will not be able to explore on those areas. Then what's new in your approach and why do you think it will be successful? Quite relevant to the second point. Because if you think in this way, you can answer the third one as well. Who cares? That means what about the beneficiaries? If you are successful, what different will it make? That means what type of the impact will it make? Like I was mentioning about creating impact in the bottom of pyramid zone. So what will be the impact? What are the risks and payoffs? Risk factor analysis, like I told you, that there can be several risks: funding crunch, some regulation related problems, anything can happen, execution failure. Then how much will it cost? You have to take care of the cost as well whenever you are coming up with certain new products, whether that common people can use it or not, who will be the user, and according to that you have to be very, very careful while making the prices. How long will it take? Obviously, the time frame, like we already have discussed, that provided the funding, what will be the time frame of completion of that particular project? That is what we have seen in case of the finding plots. And what are the midterms and final exams to check for the success? That means in case if you're coming up with software solutions, in simple words, it's all about the alpha testing and beta testing phase. So you can understand that whatever Helmer has pointed out, these 9 fundamental questions, I already have covered those things on those pathways. Right? What problem should we solve? So there are 4 pathways I have shown to you: resource map, finding a problem canvas, solution canvas, and finding plots. So these 4 are the pathways to help you to reach your optimum goal of life. So this is the lean canvas basically. So now problem, solutions, key matrices, unique, all those parts I have covered, but they are definitely this unique value proposition and cost structure I will cover up by giving you some discussions, some demo-related discussions at the end. That part I will cover up. So this is one of the solutions, because whenever I am telling you something, I have to mention that whatever I am personally have, whether I have experienced those things or not, that is also very important, right? Before giving lecture to someone or giving guidance to someone, whether I personally benefited with that or not, that I have to mention. So that is one of the solutions what we did for our startup toilet. That is basically the oral cancer solutions through the smartphone. Okay, so basically shining light from your mobile phone camera, you are basically capturing the spectral information, wavelength versus intensity, and through your AI algorithm, you are basically predicting that whether that is oral cancer or not. So we have used the white light spectroscopy, 400 to 700 nanometer is the wavelength range. So that is completely non-invasive to human body, and that's why we got the permission to make trials in the different hospitals. So with that, this is the impact we have created on the bottom of pyramid. So basically, pain-free early stage cancer diagnostic, low-cost portable device, generating reports in 2 minutes where biopsy takes several days of time, automatic solution and highly efficient. And unique selling proposition, that was I was mentioning, that unique selling proposition you have to write in this way. Because most of you are if you are in an entrepreneurial mindset up and you want to come up with some elegant solution for your own organizations or companies, you have to highlight these ways. This is the way of writing unique selling proposition. So replacing painful and cost-effective biopsy 100 times cheaper than biopsy and accuracy more than 95%, portable lightweight devices and 80 times faster than biopsy. And then comes up the costing section, like cost structure I was mentioning, that the business model actually. B2B product for it can be for the ophthalmologist, because we have two products actually, for the another one for the ophthalmologist, detecting the diabetic macular edema or diabetic retinopathy. Another one is for the oral cancer. So the product was targeted for the ophthalmologist and oncologist. So you can actually charge per scan basis. So SaaS model, software as a service, you can use it. Or for example, even if you charge from 100 rupees to 10 to 100 rupees, it is still quite affordable for everyone in the bottom of pyramid domain. And it is still thousands times cheaper than whatever the current cost in the market of the biopsy or for those or the ophthalmology treatments. And you can sell the device once at a time to hospital as well. So these are the ways we have to figure it out, that whether that is helping or not. What will be the growth strategies? That is very, very important. For example, in medical sector, tying up with hospitals, okay, because you have to continuously collect the data sets. If you really want to develop certain products in the medical field, continuous data set collection should be there, because you have to enrich your databases. It's not about doing the exploring out with the open source databases. That was good for initial level, but during launching of the product, you have to continuously tie up with different hospital. Trials should carry on. And then obviously the collaborations with the doctors, 50-50 revenue sharing model, you may go that. You are basically making the experts as the influencer and partners. Remember that those two terms which I have used earlier, making partners and influencers in the resource map. That thing can be done through this type of approaches. And then obviously how you are superior in terms of your competitors. So these are the ways you can highlight, like low cost, accuracy, smart device, data-driven, cloud-based approach. So those are you are giving those solutions where your competitors are not. So these are the ways, and our efforts have been highlighted, highly appreciated by media, because we are the first group across the globe who explored this particular methodology in case of the eye diseases for the diabetic macular edema. So G News, Odisha TV, News All India, Nature India, they have highly appreciated our work, and the leading newspapers like The Hindu Business Standard, Indian Express, Economic Times. And our cancer research has been also, like I was mentioning, also has been highlighted by the leading newspapers like The Hindu Business Standard, Indian Express, Analytics India Magazine, Nature India. And our cancer research has been included in the syllabus of Indian leading exam, for example, IAS, UPSC, Banking, IBPS. And we are the actually global-wise the first runner-up for the MIT NASA hackathon, which was executed in 2017. And this was I got the honorary mention by the Embassy of India into Switzerland, Holy Licenses, for this cancer-based research success. So these are my contact details. You guys, if you want to contact me, you can connect me with social media, or you can my contact details are also with Abhijit sir, so you can collect him from as well. So that's all about my talk. So at the end of the day, I want to give you some idea that how you should proceed, how your thought process should be. So basically, like I told you, that every guy is special. All of you are very, very special. Do not think that you can't do it. Be positive minded, because everybody has some intrinsic capability of showcasing innovations that differs from one to one. Man to man, it varies. So as man to man, it varies. You have to think. Your thought process should be in a right way, and that's this particular talk is all about, to guide you in a right way. That if you thought in this way, you can get the success. Like we guys, like we people also got some success in this direction. You guys can also got some success in this direction. So that was a humble effort to convince you that all of you are quite capable of exploring out to keep impact on the bottom of pyramid section. So nothing to worry about it. All the best. And obviously, before wrapping up my talk, I want to ask you a very funny question. Like all of you are from the engineering background. So what is the basic difference between a vision scientist and a film director? Can anybody want to answer it out from the audience? What is the basic difference between a film director and a computer vision scientist? Anybody want to try it out? Anybody from the audience? This is just for fun. This is just for fun. Just try it out.
Sir, could you repeat the question?
What is the basic difference between a film director and a computer vision scientist? Just for fun. Think about in a funny way. After a serious talk, the fun should be required. So, what is the difference?
Sir.
Yes,
Hello.
please. Please try it out.
Sir, a film director does not think algorithmically, but computer scientist has to think algorithmically.
Okay, so you have taken this question in a very serious note. That's you're actually right. But if you think about the funny note, you can answer it like in this way. So basically, film director says light, camera, action, right? Whereas the computer vision scientists say light, camera, pixel. Okay, so that's the basic difference.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So if you any guys have any query, feel free to ask me. I know
before other questions, I would like to say it was a wonderful session, and most importantly, the thing is you have given some new lanes of idea to the students that in what are the ways they could think or they could approach a certain problem. So that was really wonderful, and congratulations to you for all this achievement. And
thank you, Vijit. Thank you very much.
It was really a wonderful session.
Thank you so much, Shati sir, for this wonderful enlightenment session.
Thank you very much. It's my honor to be here. You guys are doing awesome job. Keep it up. Thank you very much.
Yeah, just a blessing.
It's our honor to you are being here, and you really opens some new lanes of thinking for the new minds, for the fresh minds.
Thank you so much, Abhijit sir. I will send you this slide. You can share with the students. I believe students will be benefited.
I'll do that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
So I'd like to call upon my next speaker, Hrithik Lal. He is Chief Technician Officer,